So I'll call to order the commission meeting for Thursday, August 17, 2023. I'm going to lead us in the invocation. I've asked Commissioner Roll to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone please stand. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're just thankful for this day, thankful for the community we live in and work in. And Father, we thank you for the staff of JWSC. We just ask your blessings on them and their families. Those that we just know they do a hard job for us, and they keep this water system and sewer system straight. And we appreciate every day that they go out to work for us, for the citizens. Help us to be good stewards with the money that we have, and just help us to understand that we need to be working in a way that brings glory to you in everything we say and do. We pray these things in Jesus' blessed name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any public comment?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, we always like these things. We got employee recognition. Frankie Farrer. Frankie?
I've enjoyed very much so working here. I've learned a lot. I have met a lot of people. I miss it a lot. I do miss it a lot. So, thank y'all.
We'll move to committee updates. We had a facilities committee meeting yesterday. At the meeting, we approved a cost for watershed protection plan update. Also contract awards for the pump station 4044 rehab and the pump stations 3101, 4001, and 4002 rehabs. We also approved the contract for the North Mainland water loops. All of these were also presented to the Finance Committee, and we'll be voting on those today to get final commission approval. We also had dedication of private infrastructure and one easement. On the water production report, all the wells are running good. I do have good news that we'll be taking bids on the Canal Road well this next month, so that'll give us more capacity in that area of our system. Also, plants were all in compliance. The Academy Creek's doing good as well as all the other plants. So we just need to appreciate those, the staff that maintain those plants, because they have to do something every day out there. And, equipment does break down. Obviously, we're still going to be needing to spend a lot of work, a lot of money on some of the plants. The Dunbar Creek plan is probably, what, 50% complete now?
A little better than that, yes, sir.
And it's our first design build plant, so, and it's going very well. That's my report. I'd like for Mr. Cook Commissioner Cook to give a report on the Finance Committee, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. During the Finance Committee yesterday, we went over many of the same things that were approved in the Facilities Committee, and we also approved the watershed protection plan, the contract award for pump station 4044, contract award for the 3 stations, and the North Mainland water loops. Those were all approved and are recommended to the commission. In addition to that, we approved the purchase of a deionized water system to be used in laboratory testing. Also authorized the purchase of a half-ton work truck, which we managed to get a few dollars under, I believe $5 under the allotted amount. Thank you to the local Ford dealer. And we also approved a modification of the GFA loan that we have, which covers the not only the meters, but also some CIPP program down in the south end, down in the downtown area. Those are all approved, and that loan is modified and extended until sometime around July of next year or until the work is completed. In addition to that, we also had a financial report from Ms. Wilson, and of course, it's the beginning of the fiscal year, so we are, we're just in the early stages of that. They're getting ready to do the audit, and they're doing a trial balance, which is everyone's favorite in finance, I believe. And also want to say that our finance director here gave a really nice report about some of the investments we're making on some of our short-term, the money we have here, we're investing that and making upwards of 5% interest. The environment is very good for that, and we'd like to thank you for being here, but I think it's a whole year, isn't it?
A year as of August 8th.
Oh, okay. Yes. So anyway, it's been a good year here. We've come through and doing well. And a number of the POs are out, and they're for the year. Even though they look like a large amount, they're actually paid off monthly. So we'll look forward to some additional information as we go along through the audit process, and then we also will be getting some information on the pension probably in September or October in that area. So, and that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move to the approval section of the minutes of the meeting. Item 1 is minutes from the July 20th, 2023 Commission and Finance meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve those as they're read.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0.
I need to get the executive minutes.
We can come back to that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll see if I can make a motion to just move that to the end of the agenda.
Yeah.
And go to the,
Move that to the end of approval,
Okay.
unless we don't have those.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Item 3 is fiscal year 2024 watershed protection plans. Mr. Burrows.
yes, sir. Each year, we're required by our NPDES discharge permits from the 3 wastewater plants that we operate to maintain what's known as a watershed protection plan. The watershed protection plan requires both dry and wet weather sampling at multiple locations throughout the watershed that we discharge into, upstream, near the discharge, and downstream. There are 7 locations at the Academy Creek watershed, 3 in the Dunbar Creek watershed, and 2 in the Southport watershed. What this does is give you background information about in-stream water quality, monitors what's known as non-point source solution. So we are a point source because we have a discharge permit, but non-point source solution to determine the impacts on water quality. And for our purposes, allows us to see that the water we're putting out is typically cleaner than what's already into the water bodies. So we have a long-standing relationship with Integrated Science and Engineering. For completion of these plans, they actually wrote each of the 3 plans, performed the sampling, analysis, and produced the annual report each year for these plans. The cost for the 3 combined is $65,300, which is about 5% less than last year's plans. This was approved at both facilities and finance yesterday.
You have a
Chairman,
motion?
I'll make a motion that the Brunswick-Glynn Joint Water and Sewer Commission approve a contract award to Integrated Science and Engineering for the fiscal year 2024 watershed protection plans in the amount of $65,300.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions, comments?
Just one comment. I think this is one of these things that people in this room understand what this is for, but if anyone's watching, this is a good example of how not only are we providing clean water and wastewater treatment for the community, but we're also shepherds for the environment. And that's part of our mission here. And it's something that we are, very diligent about. And this company is confirmation that, that we're actually doing a really good job. We're doing a better job than we could. Well, not better than we could. We're doing a great job on things. And we're leaving things cleaner than they came in. So, and that's a really notable thing for the people in this community, because we, particularly what's happened over the summer with all the temperatures and everything, it gives one pause about what in the world's going on with the environment. And we live in a very environmentally sensitive area. I think it's really important that we're participants in making sure that this area stays as beautiful as it does, as it is.
One thing I want to bring to y'all's attention on the watershed protection plans, it's actually for the non-point source pollution. And that's from the street runoffs and ditches and grading and stormwater systems that the city and the county has too. And the reason that is we're the only one that they can have do this. And so the watershed protection plan is to look at the overall thing. So it's not only looking at, I discharge from the treatment plants, they're permitted every month. But this is to make sure that the streams are not being adversely affected by the development that comes in from having the capacity to build plants, build new subdivisions and all, and also from the existing properties. And if you remember years ago, erosion, and if you've ever lived up in North Georgia, a new subdivision comes in, all of a sudden the lake down below becomes a mud hole. And that's why we have detention ponds and things like that. So the cities and the county, both the city and the county, have to participate in this, and they're doing their own permitting in-house as far as growth and everything else. But we're actually partners with the county and the city on this, but since we have the 2-3 discharges, they whack it on us.
Mr. Riles has made that point every year that we've had this come up.
We're glad to help the city and the county out on this. Any other questions? We have a motion, don't we?
We have a motion and a second, yes, sir.
Okay, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next item is contract award pump station 4044 rehab. Mr. Burris?
Yes, sir. Pump station 4044 is located on Altamba Connector, adjacent to the existing Brakes for Less facility. That station has a undersized wet well that is causing short circuiting of the pumps. The pumps cycle on and off very quickly. And so we need to improve this station to allow for additional flow from the commercial districts around there. This station actually handles all the flow from the area around Home Depot and the shopping center adjacent to Home Depot, the mall area, Pepper Tree Crossing. So it handles a lot more than it looks like that station would handle. So what we're going to do, we acquired property from Prime South Bank adjacent to our existing pump station to build a new pump station there. That will include a larger wet well, new pumps, piping, electrical, and a relocated SCADA system since we just replaced the SCADA on that panel. We went out for bid with 5 construction firms at the pre-bid, and we're unfortunate to only receive 1 bid. However, the bid that we received from Popco Inc. came in at $1,989,201.90. That is substantially over our budgeted amount and the engineer's cost estimate. However, we were able to work with them to reduce the price somewhat. Based off the critical nature of this project and the location being very challenging adjacent to a very busy street, we do recommend moving forward with Popco with the award of this contract for $1,980,656.90.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move that the Finance Committee recommend the full commission award a contract to Popco Inc. for the rehab of pump station 4044 in the amount of $1,980,656.90.
Second.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions?
I know we had a lengthy conversation about it yesterday, and certainly understand the reason why. I just think we need to really have some hard conversations with the utility about what we can do to get additional bids on these projects. I mean, we have to get creative or what we need to do. I mean, we're gonna sit here today and, approve upwards of $8 million worth of projects. And, you know, some of them are double what we expected them to be, some of them are triple what we expected them to be. This one's 4 times what we expected it to be. I just think we really need to have some, you know, tough conversations about, you know, about long-term. I mean, this isn't sustainable. I mean, if everything starts running 2 to 3 times more over the next, you know, course of this year and beyond, I mean, we're not gonna be able to get all the projects done that we want to get done and that need to get done. I just think we need to have some hard conversations about how to get that participation up and what we can do to get, you know, competitive pricing and assure. Some of these other ones, you know, we've got 2 bids that are way over bid, way overdue, way over budget, but at least we got 2 that are right there together so we can kind of look at it versus one like this where we only have one. It just stings a little. And that's nobody's fault. I mean, I get it just is the environment we're in, but I just think we need to figure something out.
Any other comments, questions?
Let me ask Mr. This is a high priority item because of the fact that the wet well is undersized, is that correct?
The station is technically, we've got upstream building going on that would make that problem even worse. So it's not going to overflow or anything as is, but we need to move this to a new location to get the bigger pumps and wet well in there to prevent there being long-term issues with the pump station.
Right.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next item is contract award pump stations 3101, 4001, and 4002 rehab. Mr. Burrs.
Much the same on this update here. These were listed as high priority in the master plan due to the current condition of the electrical systems reaching the end of their useful life. We bid this project out previously with a much more extensive scope that included piping and pump replacements. The apparent low bid at that time was $3.85 million. We rejected those bids and reduced the scope back down to only the electrical replacements and a little bit of building work to pump station 4002 as specified in the master plan. We went out for bid, had 3 people attend the pre-bid meeting and seemed to indicate they were going to provide us with, or 2 firms that were going to provide us with bids. We received 1 bid also from Popco Inc. in the amount of $2,334,460. After reviewing the bids with staff, we looked at some ways we could reduce the cost and approached Popco about JWSC providing the bypass for these 3 pump stations. These are much simpler bypass than pump station 4044 because of the location. Doing that reduced the cost of the project, the bid amount by almost $600,000. So staff recommends we award this contract without the bypass amount in a total of $1,755,317. The bid amount, budget amount was 1.425, and the engineer was 1.659. So it's a little over budget and engineer's cost estimate. However, performing the bypass internally will save us substantial cost on this project.
For clarification, the original budget amount and the engineer's cost estimate, that was on the original scope, right?
The original scope got inflated before we bid it out. This is on the original scope. The first time we bid it out had a much more inflated scope.
The cost estimate and the budget, does that include the bypass?
Yes.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move that the Brunswick-Glynn Joint Water and Sewer Commission award a contract to Popco Inc. for the rehab of pump stations 3101, 4001, 4002 in the amount of $1,755,317.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any questions?
One comment, Mr. Burrows, is we are saving almost $600,000 by doing the bypass. Is this something typically we want to do in the future? I mean, our costs are going to be significantly below that, are they?
I think it's a case by case. We obviously don't want to overspend on bypassing, but like on the pump station we talked about previously, bypassing that's going to be right alongside Altamba connector.
Right.
It's a much more complicated bypass and risky bypass situation. So when the opportunity presents itself to save, say, $600,000, then absolutely will recommend moving forward in this manner, but it depends on the situation.
I still think we should at least explore the option of us owning the bypass pumps, and I hate to say renting them back out because we're not going to charge the contractor for them, but, you know, assigning them out, for lack of a better term. That way we have the economies of scale of owning the bypass pumps and the hoses or whatever we need to do, but they have the responsibility of, you know.
We do own a handful of bypass pumps and hoses.
So even if a project, you know, was going to rent one for 6 months, if we could just buy it outright and at the end of the project, own it, and then the next project we can assign that out to the contractor, tell them we'll provide the pump, so you don't have the rental costs and the risk and et cetera, but, we want y'all to manage the coordination. That way we don't have to, try to get involved in the coordination.
Todd, can you pull up on the map and show the area that 4001 and 4002 serves? Those, 4002 is one of our largest pump stations in the system. And how many customers does it serve?
It probably has 7,000 or 8,000 customers attached to that pump station because it serves all of downtown Brunswick, south of Gloucester, except for the area immediately adjacent to the King and Prince facility.
And 4001 pumps to it, right?
4001 is what serves King and Prince. So these two stations basically serve everything south of Gloucester
Okay.
and a little bit north of Gloucester. Also serves the Glynn County Courthouse, the Pate Building, City Hall, all those included buildings.
So it's very important that this work get done.
1002, Ms. Burrow said, kind of behind Tate Street, you see downtown, that parking lot back there.
It's a good spot to park for First Friday.
In that same section, in that same section, we're going to be letting out bids fairly soon for the sewer rehab in that section. And that's being funded with some of the GFA funds that we have. But we anticipate taking bids on that this next month.
Sometime in September, most likely, yes, sir.
And the electrical in this station is probably significantly older than nearing end of
It has
life?
most likely been replaced at least once, but this station was put in the mid-60s. Yeah.
Okay, so it's definitely nearing end of life in terms of electrical. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next item is contract award North Mainland Water Loops. Mr. Burrs.
Excited to announce on this one, we got 2 bids. So the North Mainland Water Loops project connects 3 areas in the North Mainland. One of them from along Hautala Drive to connect the water lines on Kate Road to Old Jessup, and then along Bailey Road to connect to Perry Lane Road and Old Jessup, and then at Millennium Boulevard and Venture Drive, right there at the bowling alley and Toucans to connect underneath the spur to tie those together. And the reason this project is important for us, the North Mainland area around exit 38 is single fed all the way down Kate Road to the railroad tracks. So if there's a leak at the end of that line right now, we have to shut off the entire exit 38 area to fix it. Because if you look at our system in a lot of locations, we stopped at the railroad tracks because it's more costly to go under the railroad tracks. So we're trying to loop that system so that if we do have a break, we only have to shut down a very small section instead of the entire exit. So that's the reason for this. The bids came in, as mentioned before, significantly over budget, but they were within 5% of each other. The 2 bids, low bid was from $2,996,458.60 from Valancourt Construction. We have not worked with this firm before. However, we have checked their references and they come highly recommended.
Just curious, did they participate in the first 2 bids?
No.
I mean, I know they didn't submit one,
No.
but were they on the, is it just a different kind of work? That
Yeah, it's pipeline versus
they
pump
just-
stations.
They're not the same, they don't overlap.
Right.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move that the Brunswick-Glynn Joint Water Sewer Commission accept the bid for the IFB 23-011 construction services for North Mainland Water Loops in the amount of $2,996,458.60 and award a contract to Valancourt Construction.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next item is capital equipment purchase, Dunbar Creek deionized water system. Mr. Burrs.
Yes, sir. Deionized or DI water is used in lab settings because it does not have contaminants or impurities that can interfere with the chemical reactions necessary to do the laboratory analysis. The laboratory at Dunbar Creek handles the samples for Dunbar Creek and Southport and needs a new water purification system. Budgeted amount for this in the fiscal year 24 operating budget was $29,080. When we got the final quote, it came in at $31,714, which will include the unit itself and all and not included is the installation cost. We will handle that. So this is a budgeted line item in the operations budget, and the recommendation is to purchase this from Evoqua in the amount of $31,714.
This was approved in the finance meeting, yes.
This was approved at the finance, yes.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move that the JWSC approve the purchase of a DI water system from Evoqua in the amount of $31,714.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next item is capital equipment purchase, half-ton work truck. Mr. Burrows?
Yes, sir. Budgeted in the fiscal year '24 budget was a replacement of the half-ton work truck for pre-treatment inspections. The budget amount was $35,000. We solicited quotes for local providers to provide half-ton work trucks, not exclusively Ford, but we also got quotes for Dodge and GMC models as well. Murray Ford out of Kingsland provided a quote of $34,997, so we squeaked it under the budget by a full $3. So we would like to purchase this truck at $34,997. And the truck, once it gets here, the existing truck will be surplus.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that the JWSC approve the purchase of a half-ton work truck from Murray Ford in the amount of $34,997.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions?
Their on quote actually says 35, but
They just didn't take that $3 taxable
It
off.
says tax on it. We don't do tax.
We don't, yeah,
Oh,
that's
no,
why,
no,
that's
no.
$3,
yeah,
yeah.
you look at the out the bottom, it says their quote
Yeah.
Yeah.
is 35. I mean, that's just clarification, but just, in case you don't want to mess your motion up.
Understood.
What do we use this for exactly?
Pre-treatment inspections, so we do grease trap inspections, inspections of industrial customers that discharge to us,
So it's not just within the plant?
not just
I
in the
got
plant, no, sir.
Any other questions?
it. Just curious if they're just doing inspections, why do we need a truck just instead of like a
'Cause they-
standard van?
Because we haul equipment to lift the large grease trap lids and manhole covers off.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next item is G for loan modification. Ms. Roberts?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a little history. Those of you who were here in September of 2019 may recall that we originally approved this GEPA loan. The GEPA loan itself was for the Academy Creek Water Production Control Facility rehab and some gravity sewer system work. The gravity system work is, as was previously described in this meeting, the 4002 basin. Got a map here for you, and Mr. Burrows has highlighted the lines that will be receiving the work in pink there, just to give you an idea of the scope of the work. It's approximately 30,000 feet, some lines. The GEPA loan was modified in February of 2022 to give us a time extension for completion of our work, and we now have requested another time extension for completion of the work due to, again, materials impacts, delays due to COVID, and just general availability of resources. GEPA has approved that, and now our board needs to approve that as well, so we will bring it forward to modification number 2. As Commissioner Cook mentioned in the Finance Committee, we did explain that that extension is through July 1st, 2024, or the completion date of the work, whichever occurs earlier. So we're asking at this point for the board to approve that extension.
Any questions, comments? I got one question about the project scope. What's the average age of the sewer lines in that area?
The vast majority of them are clay, so they would probably put it in the 50s and 60s.
Okay, so.
Vast majority of what's being rehabbed is clay sewer.
And clay pipe don't deteriorate.
It doesn't deteriorate, it gets cracks. It doesn't fall apart, it just cracks.
Okay.
We do, obviously, we're jumping around there, we televise the entire basin. So there are clay sewers that are adjacent, in like, you see one section there that look like we skipped one pipe, because that piece of pipe is in perfect condition. So we're not just lining pipe that, just because it's old, these things have actual defects in them.
Yeah. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Dedication of private infrastructure and easements, Mr. Klein.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This item was recommended for approval by the Facilities Committee yesterday. I will give a brief description of what it is. 113 Circle Drive, essentially it's an easement. There's an exhibit attached, that shows the location of the easement. The applicant did petition Glynn County Board of Commissioners to abandon half of the alleyway, which was public right-of-way, an open alleyway behind their property. Glynn County Board of Commissioners did grant that abandonment to then become part of their parcel. Routine procedure for review of abandonment procedures by Glynn County is that we're able to review those to see if there's any water and sewer infrastructure within the areas of public right-of-way looking to be abandoned. In this case, there is. It's a very in portion of gravity sewer that does serve actually that home at 113, as well as their neighbors. So joint water, we will normally endorse all right-of-way abandonments, but if it does include a portion of our, or if we have public infrastructure located within that area to be abandoned, we do request to receive an easement over that public infrastructure, and that's what Glynn County Board of Commissioners put a condition on their abandonment of exactly that, and that's why we're here now. The applicant is now dedicating, or presenting to the board an easement over our little section of Raby's.
A question is, does this restrict the homeowner from fencing the area or in any way? Or?
Commissioner Cook, good question. As part of our easement template, which is reviewed by the Joint Water Legal as well, it does have restrictions on placing any permanent structures, fences, etc., within the easement itself. Does it legal?
Right.
Does it prevent them from doing it? No, but if we
Yeah.
go out there and tear it down, we're not required to put it back up.
Okay.
Correct.
So it guarantees us access?
Yes, exactly.
Well, however we have to get to it?
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
What it does is gives us perpetual legal access to that,
Okay.
to maintain that infrastructure.
Yeah. Sound like just a step from law school there, speaking like that.
I take those from our legal department.
We have a substantial amount of these conversations each week.
I'll move that the commission approve the modifications. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. I flipped back accidentally. I move that the Brunswick-Glynn Joint Water Sewer Commission approve the 113 Circle Drive easement dedication.
I'll second, yeah.
Motion and second. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0.
Mr. Chairman, and I apologize, I'm just off on that, but on number 9, did you show we had a motion and a second?
I did not show a second. I was gonna look back at the video.
That's a point of clarification, you know, and Commissioner Cook and I just had, I mean, Watson just, and I just had a sidebar, because neither one of us recalled that either. I don't know if we need to, should we clear that up?
Ain't gonna hurt to do it twice.
So at that point, going back to number 9, who did you show making the motion?
On the truck,
No, ma'am, on number
On
9.
the-
the G
Well,
flow,
yeah.
actually Commissioner Cook did.
And
Did
there was
I?
no second?
I don't
He
recall.
seconded and you motioned, I'm sorry.
I didn't motion it.
That was for the truck.
Also the
That
truck.
was for try. I don't think anyone motioned on that. We
Yeah.
better go back and do it.
All right, so let me, bullet point 9, this is the G for line.
Okay.
No percent.
The
No.
G for line modification, I don't think we had a motion or a
I don't
second.
think
We
we
did take a
did
vote, but I don't think we had.
All right, I'll move that the commission approve the modification of the timing session for GFA loan CW 2019008 in the form of the attached resolution.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions?
All right,
Hearing none, all
No,
in
you-
Come
favor?
back at some point.
All in
Number was
favor?
that again?
Catch
All right,
that.
yeah. We want to be
Motion
sure,
passes 6-0.
especially since it's,
Okay, next item on the agenda is minutes from the July 20th, 2023 executive session. Have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
A second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Executive Director's update. Mr. Burrs?
A reminder that tomorrow at Epworth, we have the State of the Workforce and Education Luncheon. So hope to see you there for that, so we can learn more about how our young students are preparing for the workforce. So other than that, Mr. Dorminey's going to give an update on the grand jury appointment process that's coming up.
Good afternoon. As you may recall, we do have one grand jury appointee to be appointed by the grand jury for the commission. The process actually started today with us delivering a letter to the Superior Court clerk. The ads for the grand jury appointee will run on October 5th and 12th. Applications for the appointee will be due by October 16th. The grand jury then meets and will review the applications or appoint a subcommittee to review the applications on October 18th. Interviews, if they determine that they are necessary, would be around the end of October and beginning of November, and then the selection date for the JWSC grand jury appointee will be November 15th, and the term will start a 4-year term beginning January 1st, 24. Any questions?
Who is the appointee now?
It'll be Chairman Turnip Seed's seat that will be up for appointment.
Okay, we got
Hopefully
Daisy.
reappointment.
He plans to apply for the.
Yeah, if y'all want me to.
We do.
Are you starting the 4 more years, James?
Make JWSC great again.
Unless you'd rather run for president.
Let's move to the commissioners' discussion. Anybody got any discussion to talk about?
Let's get right over that.
Any commissioners got anything you want to talk about? Chairman's update, I'm concerned about the increases in prices, but it's something that I think we're going to have to live with. Being in this business for a pretty long time, every once in a while we have big increases like this, but they don't generally go down very much. Part of it is because of the COVID and lack of work, and also the government putting so much money into the project that the contractors are just so busy. Plus, in this area, the Hyundai plant, the mega site up in Savannah, is just so large, it's taking all the contractors for doing that work too. So every project in southeast Georgia is over budget if you can get a bidder.
If what?
If you can get a bidder. And that's on for every engineers that works in the southeast, including our firm. It's even that way statewide to some extent, but it's worse down here. But the materials increases, most of them have stabilized now, but pipe just was going out of sight. What does 6-inch pipe cost now, and what was it 2 years ago?
It's probably costing $10 to $12 a foot more than it was. And so we were paying $15, $16 a foot. We're paying 20, that's just to buy the pipe, and paying $28 a foot to buy the pipe now, not counting labor.
And for a while, you couldn't even get it.
Yep.
And you got a quote, and it was good for 1 day only. So if a contractor's bidding it, and the bids aren't, he's not gonna be awarded it for 60 days or something, he's at risk of bidding something because the quote's good for 1 day, and he might have to pay $2 more a foot for pipe or something like this. And so that's why the contractors are kind of skirmish, or whatever you want to say, and they're not interested unless it's a very clean job, and if they're not busy. BRW, who's working for us on the Dunbar Creek project, if you drive by, they got 2 signs out on Sea Island Road asking for laborers. So they can't get laborers either. And the engineering firms are behind, so everything's behind schedule. Is going to stabilize one of these days, but anytime the government puts that much money into a particular sector, like they did, it's just going to put things into this kind of inflationary mode. And I found that it might come down a little bit, but it's not going to come down a whole lot. Now, if we, God forbid, if we have a major recession or something like that, it might happen. But the equipment costs are not going to come down much, but they have stabilized now, except for the electrical materials. Electrical switch gear, you can't even hardly get it. generators. Andrew, tell them about our generators.
Generator's minimum lead time was 10 months and maximum was 18 months to get a generator. And that was, the 18 months was a 1.5 kW, MW, sorry, not KW. 1.5 kW wouldn't do a whole lot.
And we've got the transfer switches, but we have the transfer switches to go along with those. But the contractor's so busy, he can't get started on putting the transfer switches in. So, but we don't have the generators anyway, or most of the generators. So it's kind of just it's a mess out there right now. DOT's, I'm sure, is running into it. So it's something we're gonna have to live with. I think we're just gonna have to adjust our cost estimates. We're obviously not gonna be able to do quite as many projects this year, but we want to do the main ones, and we want to look at innovative ways to fund the projects. Obviously, look at alternative bids and things like this, and that's what the staff is going to be looking at and getting back with us as to how we do it. And also, we might change some of our procurement methods. We might, as we've already done, we've already pre-purchased a lot of the equipment to take that load off of the contractors. But it's just not really going to go away, I'm afraid. So we just need to tighten up our pants and be prepared for it and just go forward. Georgia Power's raising their rates too. Chlorine's going up. So, and once it goes up, it never comes down very seldom. But that's my report, which is not very pretty, but it's something we got to live with.
I think all those things are all the more reason why we need to look at our processes, procedures, to your point in mind earlier, procurement methods, et cetera, to see what we can do to get as much participation as possible. And really do a drill down to the detail of why we're not getting this. Is it timing? Is it that we dumping several things all at once and making something up? Or is it that, we've got payment policy issues? I know that's not the case, but again, making something up. I mean, what are the reasons? What are our contractors telling us? Is it just purely that they're too busy, or are there things we can do to help get that extra participation? Because your point is never going to be back down, but we can't just be hand tied to escalation. We gotta make sure we can do everything possible to get the best possible pricing on everything we do every single day.
One other thing too, along that same line, we've had a standards. We've revised our standards, and the staff pretty soon is going to have a stakeholder meeting to discuss those standards, so then we can adopt those standards, and that's going to clarify some issues too. But I want to appreciate the staff for spending the time to get those standards prepared, so they're ready to go now. So they'll be scheduling that meeting real soon. I think we need to have an executive session. Can I have a motion to go into executive session for property?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Go into executive session.
Uh-oh.
You don't remember the redundancy I'm talking about.
Some football games having 20 years, but they've been serial killers of the 1830s.
adjourned. Thank you.
Charlie, you got 2 seconds?
Very short. $185 an hour, we got all day.
Commissioner Stevens, did you sign the, finance minutes from July?
I'm gonna have to, from July, I'm sorry. No, I did not. Oh, you know what, I put the,
Here.
here because.
Okay, good seeing you.
Good seeing y'all as well.
Okay.
I thought this was all just left over from yesterday, so I moved it in there to get it out of the way. Just so I could.
Tomorrow I will be leaving immediately following the luncheon, so if you need me, try my cell phone. I gotta pick up the kids from school. Which promises to be quite the adventure. You know, they're used to seeing mom's car. I pull out my truck. It promises to be quite neat.
No doubt. What can she do?
She does works a part-time job, and she's working for Light of Hope over there by y'all. She does the scheduling.
That age what?
Today's the 17th.
Right there on Parkwood. So she does all the scheduling and administrative stuff for them. And they got something tomorrow. She works remote like 90.
Just one place.
And typically it's not a problem, because we get.
Just the one thing.
The two red things
Like
there.
she does it mostly remotely. Occasionally go in and take this, not problem.
So you have the test.
Okay.
You gotta pay more time, and then get into, you know, like, daycare, it's $1 a minute that you're past 2 o'clock picking up.
Yeah, the one I used to get, I don't know what more, way more dollar than first time, second time, that was like 14 days.
So that was
They
$1.
said that, they never.
It's $1 a minute the first time, and $2 the second time, and the third time is $10. Quick money. So,
Was that? Oh, it's all right.
I
I mess up every meeting, so that's okay.
We're good.
That's part of it.
so, yes. And school, apparently, you know, you're not supposed to be there after,
This is total.
pickup starts at 2:20, apparently. Have to be there about 2:40.
Oh, I like that. Look at that, executive session in process. I like that. In progress, that's neat.
What do you mean?
Turn the lights off.
Yes, everything.
That's, yeah, that was your idea?
No, I can't take credit for that one.
That's nice, I like that, though. Yeah, I didn't know you put that on there.
Well, I mean, the mic's here.